Imagine a vault that never physically existed. No steel doors. No guards. Just numbers moving through a global ledger. In August 2016, that vault emptied itself. 120,000 Bitcoin vanished in a single sequence of transactions, not with alarms or broken code visible to the naked eye, but with eerie calm. At the time, the sum was already staggering. Years later, it would represent tens of billions. Traders refreshed dashboards. Engineers stared at block explorers. Journalists searched for a crime scene that refused to materialize. There was no shattered exchange, no frozen accounts, no smoking server rack. Only an absence. A sudden digital silence where certainty used to live. What made this event unsettling was not just the scale. It was the method. Bitcoin is designed to remember everything. Every movement leaves a mark. And yet, this fortune slipped into the system and dissolved as if it had never existed at all. The shock moved fast, but confusion moved faster. In online forums, early explanations arrived too quickly. A hack, some said. A bug. An inside job. Each theory collapsed under scrutiny. Unlike conventional breaches, there was no clear point of entry. No compromised password. No obvious exploit published after the fact. The blockchain showed the transfers plainly, but explanation lagged behind visibility. This was the paradox. Bitcoin's ledger was transparent, yet meaning was opaque. Analysts could see the money move, but not why or how control had been seized so cleanly. Exchanges froze unrelated accounts out of fear. Prices dipped, then stabilized, then resumed climbing, as if the market itself chose amnesia over panic. That response mattered. It revealed something uncomfortable. Trust in the system did not break because no one could point to a failure. When responsibility dissolves, fear has nowhere to attach. What separated this event from earlier digital thefts was not sophistication alone, but restraint. The transfers were methodical. No rush. No chaotic draining of wallets. Each movement suggested planning rather than desperation. Investigators noticed something else. The Bitcoin did not flood exchanges. It did not immediately fracture into thousands of visible sell orders. Instead, it began a slow, almost patient journey through the network. Like water seeping into porous stone, it spread quietly. This was not smash-and-grab cybercrime. It resembled logistics. The kind seen in intelligence operations or long-running financial frauds. Whoever controlled the keys understood time as a weapon. They understood that speed attracts attention, while patience dissolves it. This was the first clue that the crime was not about stealing money. It was about removing money from relevance, transforming value into an unsolvable problem. To understand how this happened, investigators had to abandon familiar metaphors. This was not a bank robbery. It was closer to altering a map while travelers were still using it. The vulnerability, whatever its precise form, exploited trust-led inside automation. Some suspected a smart contract flaw, a logic gap where instructions executed perfectly while intentions failed. Others pointed to hot wallet architecture, where private keys lived just long enough in connected systems to be harvested. But no single explanation satisfied every anomaly. The exploit behaved like a composite, borrowing elements from known weaknesses without fully matching any of them. That ambiguity was strategic. If defenders cannot classify a breach, they cannot model against it. The system responded the only way it could, by hardening everything at once, hoping the real door would be among them. Blockchain forensics promised clarity. In theory, every coin could be followed forever. In practice, visibility does not equal comprehension. Investigators watched as the stolen Bitcoin fractured into smaller units, then recombined, then fractured again. This was not random. It followed patterns designed to exhaust attention. Analysts call this dusting, the deliberate scattering of tiny amounts across thousands of addresses. Each fragment is insignificant alone, but overwhelming together. Tracking becomes a statistical nightmare. Add mixing services, where coins are pooled, shuffled, and redistributed, and attribution collapses further. The ledger still recorded everything, but meaning was smeared across time. Like fingerprints dragged across glass, the data existed but no longer resolved into a usable image. The brilliance of the operation lay in its asymmetry. Tracing funds requires coordination, legal authority, and computational focus. Obfuscation requires only repetition. Every additional transaction taxed investigators while costing perpetrators almost nothing. This imbalance mattered. It turned defense into attrition. Law enforcement agencies collaborated quietly, sharing models and heuristics. But jurisdiction slowed everything. A wallet in one country, a mixer in another, an exchange in a third. No central authority existed to compel unified response. Decentralization, celebrated as resilience, revealed its shadow. Without borders, accountability also dissolves. The system functioned exactly as designed. And that design, in this moment, favored disappearance over recovery. Attention turned to motive. Who would attempt something this patient, this controlled? Three theories dominated. State-sponsored actors, treating Bitcoin as a financial weapon. Organized cybercrime syndicates, professionalizing digital theft the way cartels once industrialized smuggling. Or an internal architect, someone intimate with the system's assumptions and blind spots. Each theory implied different goals. States might stockpile assets indefinitely. Criminal syndicates would eventually need liquidity. Insiders might be motivated by ideology as much as profit. What troubled investigators was that none of these paths produced confirmation. No sudden spending spree. No geopolitical signal. No whistleblower. The absence of evidence did not narrow suspects. It multiplied them. Cashing out became the central puzzle. Even with obfuscation, converting billions into fiat should trigger alarms. Exchanges monitor volume. Banks flag anomalies. Yet years passed with no definitive linkage. Some coins remained dormant, sitting untouched, almost ceremonial. Others moved in patterns that mimicked ordinary user behavior. Small transfers. Long pauses. Gradual dispersion. This suggested discipline. The kind found in long-term operations, not opportunistic theft. It also raised another possibility. Perhaps the goal was never to cash out completely. Perhaps possession itself was leverage. A latent threat embedded in the system, proving that certainty could be undermined at will. As months turned into years, the industry adapted. Security hardened. Cold storage became standard. Multi-signature wallets replaced single points of failure. Regulators entered conversations once reserved for cryptographers. The Phantom Heist became a case study, cited without resolution. Its influence exceeded its visibility. Every new protocol quietly asked the same question. Could this happen again? And if it did, would we even recognize it? The absence of closure shaped behavior more than any solved crime could. Fear, when undefined, encourages compliance. Innovation slowed where certainty could not be guaranteed. Trust recalibrated, not withdrawn, but guarded. Investor psychology shifted subtly. Early adopters spoke less about inevitability and more about risk. Institutions demanded insurance, audits, redundancy. Bitcoin did not collapse. It matured under suspicion. This was the paradoxical outcome. A crime that proved vulnerability also forced resilience. Yet the underlying question remained unanswered. If value can vanish without breaking rules, what exactly do those rules protect? The ledger still functioned. Blocks still formed. But belief now carried an asterisk. Faith became conditional, informed by the knowledge that transparency does not prevent exploitation. It only documents it. Other unsolved digital crimes echoed this pattern. Breaches where data existed, but truth did not. Systems designed for openness weaponized through patience. Each case reinforced the same lesson. Technology does not eliminate trust. It redistributes it. From institutions to code. From humans to assumptions. When those assumptions are challenged, responsibility diffuses. No villain stands trial. No narrative resolves. Only systems adjust around a wound they cannot close. Since 2016, forensic tools have evolved. Machine learning models now flag anomalous flows. Graph analysis maps relationships invisible to human analysts. Artificial intelligence watches the ledger continuously, hunting for statistical ghosts. Yet even these advances face limits. They are trained on past behavior. A truly novel exploit leaves no precedent. It creates new data, not patterns. The perfect crime is not one that hides. It is one that teaches nothing useful in retrospect. Global cooperation remains uneven. Some governments prioritize innovation. Others focus on control. Information sharing exists, but incentives misalign. Admitting vulnerability carries political cost. Silence remains attractive. Meanwhile, decentralized finance expands faster than oversight can adapt. Complexity increases attack surface. Each new layer promises efficiency while quietly embedding new assumptions. The lesson of the vanished Bitcoin grows harder to apply as systems accelerate beyond collective understanding. The possibility that this was a perfect crime remains uncomfortable. Not because of the money lost, but because of what was demonstrated. That value can be removed from circulation without violence, without exposure, without accountability. This challenges traditional definitions of theft. If no one can prove ownership was violated, was a crime committed, or merely a transformation enacted, law depends on clarity. This event produced none. Some believe the Bitcoin still sits untouched, a digital relic. Others argue it has been fully laundered, indistinguishable from legitimate supply. Both outcomes are troubling. Dormancy implies power deferred. Laundering implies success complete. Either way, the system absorbed the shock without resolving it. That resilience masks fragility. Like a bridge that holds after a crack, inviting heavier loads until failure becomes catastrophic. The crypto world often frames itself as inevitable. Mathematics replacing institutions. Code replacing discretion. But this story complicates that narrative. Mathematics does not eliminate human behavior. It channels it. Code does not remove deception. It reshapes it. The heist revealed that certainty is not a property of systems, but of collective belief in their limits. When those limits are breached silently, belief lags behind reality. Years later, new generations of users enter markets unaware of this absence. Charts show growth. Headlines celebrate adoption. The missing Bitcoin fades into law. Yet its shadow remains. It lives in every compliance protocol, every security audit, every risk disclosure footnote. The system remembers, even if participants forget. Unresolved tension defines this story. No arrest, no confession, no recovered fortune. Only a lesson delivered without attribution. The kind history rarely offers. Usually, failure arrives with names attached. Hey, anonymity endured. That endurance may be the most unsettling outcome. Power exercised without identity resists correction. Perhaps the true theft was not the Bitcoin itself, but certainty. The assumption that transparency guarantees safety. That decentralization distributes risk evenly. That immutable ledgers cannot forget. The vanished fortune disproved these beliefs without contradicting the system's rules. It exploited interpretation, not code. That distinction matters. The moral paradox remains unresolved. A system designed to eliminate trust revealed how much trust it still requires. A crime that left perfect records left no answers. If this was a perfect heist, it succeeded not by breaking the future of digital finance, but by quietly reshaping it. And if it was not perfect, its flaw has yet to surface. Somewhere in the ledger, certainty is missing, and no algorithm has learned how to retrieve it.